Welcome to the Breaking 90 podcast, where we talk about all things sustainable fat loss. We take people on 90-day journeys to creating fat loss forever. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Breaking 90 podcast. I'm your co-host, Alex Harriman, joined today with a good friend of mine that you haven't got the chance to meet yet, but I'm excited to have him here, and I know you guys are going to be excited to listen. Today I've got with me Patrick Ryan II, founder and co-owner of Aware Fitness Coaching. Patrick, what's up, dude?
What's up, man? Happy, as we're recording this, happy Wednesday morning.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate you being here. It's awesome to do this. Just a quick backstory for the listeners. Patrick and I have worked together for years now. I mean, we've known each other for about four or 5 years. We've worked lots as peers in the online coaching space. And it's really a pleasure to connect with you because I know we have a lot of similar beliefs in the health and fitness realm. And we work with similar audiences too. So I feel like this is a really special, unique opportunity for our audience to hear from somebody else rather than always hearing from me and getting sick of what I have to say.
It's about creating a healthy, well-rounded echo chamber, I guess you could say.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. I guess start us off by just like giving a brief overview of what you do and who you help.
Cool. Yeah, so it's nice to meet you all. Greetings from Albuquerque, New Mexico. My name is Patrick Ryan. Much like Alex had mentioned, I am the founder and co-owner of Aware Fitness Coaching, where myself and my wife, Meagan Ryan, we help high-performing helpers say fuck you to the mainstream fitness industry. And essentially, as I shared that with Alex earlier today, he asked me for a grain of specificity, right? So we specialize in helping pharmacists, doctors, therapists, public health executives, people who are having a large impact and a large number of people. We're helping support them with their nutrition, with their exercise, with their stress management and sleep management in order to help them not only take care of others, but be able to take really good care of themselves by essentially pouring from a cup that's overflowing.
I really love that message and the way that you've worded it too, because, well, for a couple of reasons. When people come to us originally, and I'm sure you see the same thing, people have a lot of preconceived ideas of what online coaching is, who we help, what we do.
Right.
A lot of people are just assuming that we're going to put together a program, hand it to them, and say, good luck.
Right.
I was your online coach. I made you this program that you could have gotten off of Google for free.
Right.
And it's couldn't be further from the truth, obviously, as you and I both know, but also the preconceived idea of what they want to get from us. They want to come on a surface level. We want to lose weight, or we want to gain muscle, or we want to look better, or usually it's one of those, or the combination of the two.
Right.
But it's always something deeper. It's always something deeper. And that's what I really love about your messaging and just who you are as a person, is you've got a really unique way of getting into the depth of that and discovering what it is that we can really help people with.
Right.
In Breaking 90, we have 3 core pillars. We deal with movement, mindset, nutrition. Like I said, people typically will come to us because they want to lose weight, but it's often something deeper than that. And what really draws me to what you're delivering and what you're offering and helping people with is the way that you guys uniquely help people with the mindset portion specifically, because I think, and I'm curious what your opinion is, but I think when people first reach out for help, mindset's often one of the last of those 3 that they identify as the need for change. When they hear that we work with movement, mindset, nutrition, they're like, oh yeah, I definitely need to exercise more. I definitely need to eat better. But it's probably the mindset, the stress, the sleep, everything that is incorporated under that umbrella that's holding them back the furthest from their goals. Curious what your opinion is, though.
Yeah, I I really like that movement, mindset, and you said nutrition, right?
Yeah.
So, that helps break it down into essentially a three-legged stool that people essentially need moving forward, as opposed to the, I don't even want to call it a two-legged stool that the mainstream fitness industry has done a very good job of marketing to people, myself and you included, Alex,
100%.
right?
100%.
There's such a shared level of experience between myself, you, and other colleagues we have met through the online trainer mentorship, is we've looked at the mainstream fitness industry and have found ourselves scratching our heads as far as like, oh wow, like this is it, like this is the extent that we're actually able to help people, and it's getting to the point to where it's perpetuating a substantial amount of confusion and misunderstanding for me, you, early on in our fitness and coaching journeys, as well as individuals that come to us for help, because they've been given a two-dimensional, at best, paradigm in taking care of their health. Those could represent two tools, when in all actuality, your movement and your nutrition only represents 14% of what's actually needed to help live a healthy, fulfilled, fit life that everybody's going after. So you made mention of something earlier in our conversation here that I thought was really relevant. You talked about surface level, right? You brought up surface level. And when it comes to helping somebody initiate and implement any amount of change, you have to be able to guide them through the surface level, which is what most people know. It's the external. That's exercise. That's why exercise has such a big name, is because it's something that people can actually see. And then they see all of the male and female bodies that are marketed to us to such a substantial degree that's supposed to be the quote unquote pinnacle of health, when in all actuality, a lot of those people have mental health issues and they've got body dysmorphia related issues. I say that because I was one of those people in my early 20s navigating my fitness journey. So you have surface level, then you have action level. And I think action level represents nutrition. Like, people understand to a degree, whether they're fully conscious of it or not, there has to be a little bit level of nuance and customization to food, because at least at this point in time, people are becoming more aware of maybe friends or family of theirs that have food allergies or food intolerances or an autoimmune disease or something. You know what I mean? They know of it. They may not know a lot about it,
Yeah.
but they know of it. And they know that there is a level of customization that's going to be needed on that nutrition front, which I think helps initiate some amount of action for people. But what we're coming to find as coaches is action is not enough. Having people on the action level of, we'll call it the behavior change spectrum, is not enough. It lacks depth, it lacks roots, which then takes us to the next layer, which is transformational. The transformational level of behavior change does not come from something external. It may initially, if you're able to keep up with it enough with exercise and nutrition, and you'll essentially get to a point of realizing, I can't out exercise this. I can't out restrict this with my diet. I have to look inward. I have to pay attention to my mindset. I have to get an understanding of why I behave the way I behave, and what was modeled for me through my friends, through my family, through my friend group, and how that has played into my behavior and my subsequent state of health, whether that is really good health, really poor health, or somewhere in the middle. And to your point, that's where a coach like yourself and myself come in, because it warrants a people-centered approach where I have to sit down with you and get to know you as a person. So that way I can help you navigate all those multiple dimensions: mental, emotional, environmental, social, financial, spiritual, physical, the whole gamut of what actually makes a well-rounded, and I would say sane life, not a vain life. And I think you represent.
I wanted to jump in there quick, because that's something you mentioned to me earlier that really, really stuck with me, is your sanity over vanity.
Right.
And so this is something that you obviously say and use often with your coaching.
Yeah. Yeah. It's much like for yourself. You're like, okay, movement, mindset, nutrition. For us, we totally are in agreement relative to that paradigm. And we also add to that, a lot of ours is more so in the mindset portion of things, like you're saying. There's no point in you being as fit as you could possibly be if you're fucking miserable mentally and emotionally and socially, right? There's no point. I think my wife Meagan put it really well. She said, your dream body is a dream nothing if it's a nightmare to maintain. So we might as well assess the foundation and help make sure you are sane, you are confident, you are comfortable, you are leading with conviction in a healthy, mindful way in your day-to-day. And then what we've come to find with our clients, consistency around nutrition and consistency around exercise skyrockets. And then they have the foundation they need rather than feeling obligated to go for another diet or another workout plan. Like they've got everything they need. As John, I'm going to butcher his name, but I believe it's John Kabat-Zinn. He wrote, everywhere you go, there you are. You build that within yourself. You're like, oh, wherever I am, there I am. I can make the most mindful decision around eating and exercise regardless of circumstance. So then stuff like the holidays, stuff like traveling, stuff like family getting sick doesn't throw you off track anymore because you're constantly in a resourceful state of mind and you're able to make those pivots. And then your external behavior through your nutrition and through your exercise shows, but it all starts mentally, which it sounds like there's an overlap with what you're working on with your clients as well, which is great.
100%. And it's interesting. Everything you say is resonating so deeply with me. But when you talked about the two-legged stool, like if I think back to my beginnings as a health and fitness coach, I was a personal trainer, and to me, personal training meant I was going to design a workout program. I was going to walk you through your workout program, and then you were going to leave at the end of the day, and I wasn't going to worry about it till the next time I saw you.
Gotcha.
And we didn't make much progress. Right? Like I was like, yeah, I'm good at programming, I'm good at creating a workout, I'm good at walking this client through the workout, but why are my clients not progressing? Well, nutrition wasn't on my radar back then. This is back to 2008, so we're talking 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Nutrition wasn't on my radar, but not only that, the mindset side of things was so far out of my scope of idea of what I might ever be coaching. I just had no idea, and I don't fault myself for that. That's what I was exposed to and what I was taught. But now looking back, it's hilarious to think that we could ever try to coach and help somebody with only one of those three components.
Yeah. And like you're talking about each one, and I'm not saying this as a means of intimidating your listeners or discouraging them. I'm more so sharing this as a means of excitement through the lens and with the fuel source of curiosity. Each of those three pillars you talk about, movement, mindset, and nutrition, there's depth to each one of those. Absolutely. Right? And it's only until each of your listeners here listening today, it's only until they're willing to acknowledge there's a limit to what I can achieve externally. I'm not saying that as a means of not doing anything. It's helpful to do something. Something is better than nothing, while also acknowledging there is no limit to what you can achieve internally, but you've got to be willing to go down that path, and you got to be willing to go down that route and do that work. And also learn to see how it's reflected in your external health, your weight, your cholesterol, your triglycerides, your blood sugar, your ability to stay consistent with exercise, your body composition, whatever metric you're wanting to measure. It's about creating deeper threads so that way you can understand why you maybe gained 10 pounds in a week and not flip out over it, because there's a physiological standard deviation that we as humans always are going to fluctuate in and around as human beings. And it's also circumstantial based on environment, but just there's a level of nuance that the fitness industry needs to start speaking and speaking more regularly to help educate its listeners. So we're not butting our heads up against the wall around these, as you're putting it, surface level problems.
Love it. Love it. I quickly want to touch on something that we've developed as we call them our five guiding principles, and it's something that we deliver to our clients, and we encourage them to make their health and fitness choices around these five guiding principles. And everything that you're saying is like sticking out to me, and this is the reason that I want to talk about this, because it's sticking out as our five guiding principles, and then your sanity over vanity, which I love. So each of our guiding principles is something over something. So we start with purpose over pleasure, in the sense that if we can start making a lot of our decisions from a purpose standpoint, not meaning that you can't eat the foods you enjoy or eat do the things you want to do, but there should be a purpose behind it. We're not doing things mindlessly for no reason.
Sure.
The next one, discipline over motivation, which you've probably heard Jim Wendler talk about before, but love it and love what it stands for. The third, simplicity over complexity. If there's an easier way to do something, we should make it easier.
Right.
The fourth, consistency over intensity, which you just hammered down on. And then
Right.
the fifth, something over nothing. And so
Right.
it's, I think for the people who've been listening to us a long time, they've heard me like beat the shit out of these five guiding principles. But now hearing Patrick talk, he's saying all of these things with different words. He's giving you a different lens to look at these things through, and a different way to consider how you can apply this to your own health and fitness journey.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that, dude. What it makes me think about as you talked about your journey as a fitness professional and doing personal training and getting familiar with writing workout programs for people, right? And what I don't think people have a deep enough grasp of, because there isn't enough depth around their deeper why, their fuel source behind why they exercise, is when you exercise long enough and consistently enough without being obsessed about the intensity, you're able to do a baseline foundational level of exercises, but from a different angle. You go from doing a flat dumbbell dumbbell bench press to, hey, I'm going to do incline. I'm going to do incline dumbbell bench press. I'm going to do decline dumbbell bench press. I'm going to do flat cable flies. I'm going to, you know what I mean? You start hitting movements at different angles just because it's fun. And then it moves you into a space of trying different forms of movement that maybe aren't just the gym, because it's fun and curiosity fuels your journey. And that's what I hear you talking about as far as those five primary pillars and why they're so important, and why it's important to bring. And I extend a level of gratitude for you and having me on, where it's like, hey, we're pretty much talking about the same thing. It's all about just using different verbiage, because there might be people in your community that might resonate more with my means of communicating a same shared similar concept, and same for my community. And this is an exchange in the case of this podcast, of being like, hey, there are other fitness professionals out there that are ethically driven, that want to see you thrive in life and aren't just there to take your money.
Mm,
You know what
absolutely.
I mean? Which you and I have seen people really get taken advantage of by the mainstream fitness in more ways than one, because they think, oh, I just need to get a gym membership and I just need to maybe work with a coach an hour to 2 hours a week, and then all my wildest fitness dreams will come true. And then it doesn't happen. And then they end up creating a disordered relationship with investing in themselves, and they stop. You
Mm.
know what I mean? Because ultimately there are other coaches out there that are more equipped and more better served due to them working with us.
We see that a lot in the fat loss industry, and I mean, I hate to call it the fat loss industry, honestly, because of what
Sure.
it is, but it's got the tarnished name because of what else is out there, and it's like
Sure.
if people come to us, it's usually after they've tried 20 other awful things.
Right.
20 other awful things that have ruined it for them and ruined it for the
Sure.
industry. And you and I know that there's always a deeper why than fat loss itself. But on the
Right.
surface level, that's the sexy motivator that gets people to pick up the phone, right?
Right.
Um, Something you said there, where Patrick's talking about being in the gym and being excited and trying different movements and different planes of movements and different versions of exercise. Like I know a lot of our listeners are listening to that and they're like, I will never be excited to work out. Like no matter what happens to me, I'll never be excited to work out. But there's more to it than just that, because even the foundational exercises and movements that you start with translate to other areas of your life. Like, instead of you just now going out for a walk with friends, now you're opening up the capability of walking trails with friends, hiking with friends, doing hills with friends, maybe going for a run with friends, maybe getting on a bike, or trying a new activity, or playing pickleball. Like, this is the exact same thing that Patrick's talking about outside of the gym, and how it can translate to other areas of our life.
Yes, I love that, dude. And by the way, like, I think a key distinction before I continue getting on my very mini small soapbox and echoing what you were sharing, like, it is also my understanding that the vast majority, if not all of the individuals you serve are women,
That's right.
right? So I will plant a seed at this stage of the conversation, and that it probably would be a lot of fun in the event it made sense for you to have my wife on, who can speak from the perspective of a female. And I think your wife is also a co-host of this podcast as well. Is that correct, or am I
She,
wrong?
she's not she does help with the business a lot more behind the
Sure.
scenes, but my two head coaches are both females, and they're on the
Okay, cool.
podcast
So
often.
you've got some good, well-rounded perspective there. So I wanted to make sure, like, what I also notice in the fitness industry, and I'm not saying this is you, I'm not saying this is me, it's just seeing it out there. There's a lot of mansplaining
Oh,
in the fitness
yeah.
industry as well. That's just like, great, dude. You like, people know, and I'm sure especially your audience already knows, you can't shame yourself into change. You can only love yourself into evolution. And most male fitness coaches really still struggle being able to communicate that and embody that with their clients, because they themselves are still using shame as a primary fuel source for their sustained movement. And then we wonder why there's a collective perception of men and women that they're like, I don't want to even fucking touch going to the gym. Well,
Right.
yeah, it's because there's a lot of angry men who haven't done the emotional work, are
Yeah.
shouting from the rooftops, I'm going to shame you into change. I'm going to shame you into change. So I wanted to preface that before I continued any part of my conversation, because I acknowledge the fact that I am a man still growing through the good old patriarchy of the United States of America, and how that shapes marketing in the fitness industry to such a point. To your point, people are like, I don't want any part of that. And I think a lot of it has to do with how it's communicated.
Love it, dude. I love it. And it's like, it circles back to what I was talking about as young Alex, as a personal trainer. Like, that was my whole world back then.
Right,
I started to take a deeper dive into nutrition, which is where a lot more of my passion lies now, and I spend a lot more of the time on the nutrition side.
right,
But as we grow and evolve as coaches, and who we can help grows and evolves, I realize, like, I can't do this alone. Similar to you, you've brought your wife on to help. My two head coaches, Jerica and Kelly, like, I couldn't do this thing without them, because of
right.
their expertise, because of their knowledge, because of what they have experienced and gone through. And then also being females, they can relate on different levels too, right? So
Mhm.
I think the big thing is, there's no one person that's going to help you. There's no one program that's going to help you. There's no one thing that is going to help you if you're listening to this. Like, you having access to different people, different resources, different programs. There's an unlimited amount of opportunity to learn and grow. There's a lot of bullshit out there too. Don't
Oh,
get me
for sure.
wrong. Like, I'm not saying there's no wrong way to do this,
Sure.
but there's also not one right way to do this. So that's why I love having these conversations with people like you, where our viewpoints align, but we probably take a different coaching path, and
Sure.
that's awesome. Like,
Right.
double down, get the exposure. I would encourage anybody who's worked with Breaking 90 Fitness in the past, and is looking for another viewpoint, to go talk to Patrick, to try his program, to learn new things. To me, that only benefits everybody.
Well, and it ties into what your deep rooted values are as a fitness professional, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as an ally, as a husband, as a father. You know what I mean? There's a lot of deeper work life integration that's being built in there, right? And it's very abundant in, like, well, what are the problems ethically driven fitness professionals are wanting to solve? We know the world would be a much wonderful place, a much safer place, a much kinder place if everyone were taking care of and prioritizing their own individual health. And it would create such an abundance of energy to where we would be able to help more and more people with their own individual health. And then we're able to quite literally raise the collective consciousness of this entire planet, because right now we're dealing with a lot of bullshit surface level problems. And I think that speaks to the lack of depth that we've built here in the States, as well as in your neck of the woods up north in Canada, and just really thinking about what problems are we wanting to solve. And I agree with you. That's, you and I have met through a shared fitness business mentorship that we've been a part of. You and I have been a part of leading online coach seminars for our audiences to mingle with other people, and just trusting that, because if you're really bought into it, you start to understand you never stop being two things. You never stop being a student, and you never stop being an athlete. So long as you're able to find coaches, friends, colleagues that share that similar mindset of like, I'm always going to learn and I'm always going to move my body, you can't go wrong. So I echo what you're saying wholeheartedly. It's just like, you got to find the right people for the right time, the right transition that you're going through in your life.
And there's often not a time where having more connections and more people in your health network is going to be a disadvantage. There's
Right.
conflicting information online, so I got to be careful how I word that, because there's a lot of conflicting information online. But
Right.
once you get past that and realize that quick fixes and fad diets and short-term solutions are not what we're looking for, and we start digging into the whys and asking the deeper questions, then you can start surrounding yourself with the advice and the people that can actually help get you there.
Right. Yep. Exactly. I could not agree more, man.
Um, I'm curious if there's any like tool or that you use in your coaching that you can kind of deliver or explain, and or anything that you think you can teach our audience in obviously a limited amount of time. I mean, you're welcome to come back anytime if we want to spend more, but I'm curious if you've got any quick lesson that you could deliver for us.
Sure. Well, first I'll start with planting a seed with your audience, because it sounds like he's pretty connected with you all's feedback. So planting a seed of, if any of y'all did find this helpful and you would love to see a much more kind of flushed out in-depth conversation, either between myself and Alex, or between Alex and my wife, or even the three of us, let him know, because myself and my wife would be more than honored to help support Alex's community in whatever way we can. With that being said, my takeaway advice comes down to two things. The first thing is, we call it the 5-minute rule. Everybody's got 5 minutes. They like to think they don't, but they do. And what I mean by that is, if you are capable of setting a timer on your phone for 5 minutes and closing your eyes and just tuning into your body and tuning into your breath and going through what we call a mind body scan to feel where you're holding tension, as well as the emotional tension you might be carrying from a resistance point in a relationship, or a difficult conversation you had at work, or whatever it might be. Starting there, it doesn't cost you anything. Starting there and then taking it into the next step, which is the part 2 around your eating, is use that as an anchoring exercise to help you slow down while you eat, regardless of what you eat. And this is how we build depth to the otherwise action related tool of nutrition, or action level. If you slow down while you eat, regardless of what you eat, you will be more likely to put yourself in a caloric deficit, which is what everybody's seeking in order to lose fat, in the case of what you shared earlier. It's the key distinction is how you get there. And if I'm breaking it down to 2 key points in mine and Megan's world, it's take 5 minutes, catch your breath, slow down, and do the best you can to eat slowly while you eat, regardless of what you eat. and you will come to connect with your hunger and fullness cues in a way that you did not know were possible. And no fitness tracker app will ever be able to do that for you because it's you.
I love that. And I mean, obviously I don't know the ins and outs of your business, but I think that's brilliant because I've I've been through every scope of nutrition coaching with our clients, from taking pictures to hand size
Right.
portions to using fitness trackers and apps to writing down and logging everything.
Yep.
You need to figure out the tools that work for you and what you like and what you don't
Absolutely.
like. But if you can't get a handle on it yourself, there's no external app or device that's going to force you to stick to it long term.
Exactly. Yep. And this is where it ties into more of the nervous system regulation type practices that we all have, but you don't get better at anything by not doing it. And that goes to one of your main tenets of something over nothing.
Hmm.
So if we can break things down, I think I just did the calculation this morning. If you were to spend 5 minutes every single day over the course of a year, you would have a total of, I believe, 30 hours of time committed to that habit.
Massive. It's
But
it.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's no different than weight loss when we get discouraged about losing a half a pound in a week, but when we look at that over the course of a year, it's another 26 pounds difference, right? When we think of 26 pounds, it's significant. When we think of a half a pound, it feels insignificant.
Right. And part of that problem is most of us have bought into the collective delusion that we don't have time to be present,
Mm,
which when we really take the time to pay attention to that, we know it's a bunch of crap.
of course.
But we've got to learn how to unlearn that and adopt, hey, I can be present for 5 minutes, because then it allows you to zoom out and play a longer game, which to our point, I think is so important and valuable for coaches to have.
Mm,
Because now we're talking about the mental and emotional health and capability of the client you're working with relative to what kind of timelines they operate on, right? We live in this world where people seem to forget that there's likely going to be a summer next summer, which means you're going to travel. There's likely going to be another holiday season next year. You're going to have in the States, you're going to have Thanksgiving. You're going to have whatever, winter related holidays. It's going to happen again. And the only way that you're going to improve and be more prepared for next year's events is by taking small, what can oftentimes feel like microscopic adjustments, and trust that over time it'll compound into a solid foundation to which you will be able to experience better problems.
love it.
Problems with more depth, and you have a better fuel source to pull from to solve those problems.
I love that. We ask our clients all the time, did you handle this situation a little bit better than you would have in the past? If so,
Right.
you're winning.
Right.
If you chose to have 5 beers at that dinner instead of 6, which you normally have, that's still headed in the direction of improvement. Congratulations, because it's too easy to say, I screwed up. I still had beer. I still
Right.
had a beer. I still had some dessert. Did you navigate that situation a little bit better than you would have in the past?
Right.
Sweet.
And that's the gift of the gray area. It's a matter of people's willingness to break out of all or nothing, black or white thinking, and be like, I wonder what the gray area looks like. I wonder what it feels like. But the only way you're going to know is by jumping off the diving board and getting in the water.
Love it. Love it. Well, really, really appreciate you being here. For the audience, where is the best place for them to find you, follow you, connect with you?
Yeah, best place to follow me, I'll give them two options. First and foremost is on Instagram. They can find me at Patrick_Ryan. That's RYAN. Fit, FIT. That's on Instagram. On Facebook, he's kind enough to include these in the show notes. My wife and I run a free Facebook fitness community. So the link will be in the show notes there in the event that you want to be a part of it. My wife and I run a free mastermind training on the second Monday of every single month.
Awesome.
And we heavily encourage the input from our community in crafting those specifically for them. Hence why I said, if it makes sense and they want to hear more, Megan and I are happy to hop on here. Or if anything, we'd love to have you on maybe one of our mastermind trainings in our group.
Cool. That's amazing. Yeah. We'll like Patrick said, we'll include those links in the show notes, ways that connect with the two of them if any of you are curious in learning more. But at at least make sure you follow him on Instagram. The more of this stuff you can get in front of, I know you guys are sitting at home scrolling your phones at night. You might as well be looking at something positive.
We've only got limited time and bandwidth, so you might as well put it into yourself in a positive way.
Love that. Love that. Well, listen, man, I appreciate this. I appreciate you being here. I know there's a lot of value for our audience. Wherever you guys are listening right now, please do us a huge favor. Take a screenshot, tag both of us. Tag both of our Instagrams, share it to your story, show us that you listened. That means the world to us. And gets more eyes on this so we can keep helping you guys do the things we do.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, man. It's been a pleasure. Thank you to your listeners for holding the space and hearing me out.